My name is Dean Haystack, the Dean, and you're listening to The Coffee Conversation. I'm amazed at how common sense seems to be. This country has shut down over the flu. Now, you're not allowed to call it the flu, but a rose by any other name is still a rose, as the saying goes. There's that story. Van der Merwe on his farm with his friend Frikkie, and they're walking. As they're walking, they find this little pile of poo. And Van says, "Listen, Frikkie, let's check it out." So he goes close, he says, "Frikkie, it looks like poo." And he sniffs it and he says, "Frikkie, it smells like poo." And then he sticks his finger into this little lump and he says, "Frikkie, it feels like poo and it tastes like poo." So Frikkie, if it looks like, smells like, feels like and tastes like poo, it must be poo. I've been told that I need to remind everybody to like or subscribe or hit the little bell thingy. Don't know what the little bell thingy is, but hit the little bell thingy. That's apparently the YouTube thing to do. And a rose by any other name is still a rose, and this is the flu. COVID-19 is a strain of the flu coming out of animals now alive in humans, or active in humans. It is known as the flu. We're not allowed to call it the flu because that's not dangerous enough, but it looks like flu and it behaves like flu. We respond to it like flu. It responds to the weather just like flu. But we're not allowed to call it the flu. It was said that it is 10 times more dangerous than the regular flu. At least 10 times. That would mean 6.5 million deaths in the calendar year. Currently, we're sitting at about 950,000 international deaths from the coronavirus. I don't think we've hit 1 million yet. 650,000 deaths related to the flu last year. We're now sitting at 950. That's not 10 times, that's 1.5 times. In South Africa, we had 11,000 deaths last year. We're sitting on under 16,000 at the moment. That's 1.5 times more dangerous than the regular flu. Now, those numbers are inflated potentially because we know that many of those numbers are being disputed and cases are being disputed, and some of them have been refuted. Yet, we're not allowed to call this thing the flu. It behaves just like flu. At the moment in South Africa, the numbers of infections are crashing because we're moving into summer. And in Europe, the numbers are increasing dramatically in the northern hemisphere because they're going into the winter. That is exactly what the flu does. Now you say, "Oh, well, Dean, but we didn't know how dangerous the virus was." And I agree, we didn't know how dangerous it actually was. But we did know how dangerous and how damaging the restrictions around the world and the lockdown were going to be. Let's say 10 times the amount of the regular flu means that 1 in 1,000 people in South Africa, 1 in 1,000 people in South Africa may have died of this coronavirus. It's turned out to be 2 or 2.5 in 10,000, and that's slightly higher than the flu in the normal circumstances. How dangerous does it need to be in order for us to create the damage and the danger of the lockdown? The lockdown, we knew separation anxiety, stress, other anxieties, depression, suicides. We knew that those numbers were going to increase. They have increased. We knew that there were going to be more people dying of unusual deaths because they don't get access to hospital and doctor care because of the restrictions in lockdown, and they're not letting people into hospital. That is exactly what has happened. We knew that unemployment was going to go through the roof. We knew that the poverty was going to increase dramatically. We knew that hunger was going to increase dramatically. We knew that although there's already violent men in this country who some of the men in this country beat women and children, that would increase because now those angry men who beat women and children are at home all day, every day with their neighbors, those women and those children who they beat because they don't have husbands to protect them, and they're not allowed to drink, and they weren't allowed to smoke, and they weren't allowed to drink, and they're more angry, and they could beat those women and children day and night, which is what's happened, which is why we've now got the second epidemic called gender-based and violence and against children. So the numbers have increased. We knew that was going to happen. Even me, just with common sense, knew that was going to happen. The dangers of the lockdown and the restrictions far outweighed even the worst possible scenario of 10 times or more. of the virus. If you've got a dam feeding 10,000 people and there's a slight infection in the water, and you know that maybe 1 in 1,000 people who drink that water would die, do you shut off the whole water supply to everybody, knowing that nobody can drink and everybody's going to suffer and more people are going to die? No, you don't, because it's common sense not to do that. You create some other form of plan. But it's amazing to me how uncommon common sense seems to be, because we have shut down this country and locked down the world over the flu. My name is Dean Haystack, and I'm just a guy who gives a damn. That's kind of my thought process on all of that. So, hit the bell. I don't know what that means. Subscribe, like, share, and all that stuff which YouTube apparently requires in order for me to become a hit.